Welcome to Sportsbet Daily at Oddsmarket.com. It's a new week. It's La Liga and Serie A are going to give us some midweek action. We're also going to go off to China for the WTA and the ATP. Number Juan is in the house and
Hello,
he's happy.
people.
Three out of five.
I'm really happy. It was a dull weekend. Low scoring games, the way I like it. No excitement at all.
Yeah, you love dull.
I love dull.
Dull. What's it like around your house when you see a 0-0? Do it like...
Oh, I have a vuvuzela and everything. Yeah, my parents hate me. My family hate me.
I can understand why they hate you. That's got nothing to do with 0-0s though.
Exactly.
Martin, how are you finding La Liga? It seems a bit dull at the moment.
Yeah, I'm finding it a bit of a struggle, to be honest, Flash. A lot of teams that I would look to for consistency have been very, very inconsistent so far. Normally, you've been able to rely on Atletico Madrid in recent years, but they're on the naughty step at the moment. Same with Barcelona. Terrible. I've got to stop betting on Barcelona. It's just very difficult to find any patterns of form in the early stages of the season. I think I only got 1 out of 4 at the weekend, so not particularly happy with the way it's going. Hopefully can pick up a bit of profit midweek and get back on it.
Well, I mean, I look at some of the results at the weekend. 3 0-0s, Barca getting beat 2-0 away at Granada, and Real Madrid Sevilla, as my Spanish friend tells me, although you're not Spanish, you speak Spanish. The 1-0, I mean, that goes against everything that Real Madrid stand for, and they score goals and they can't keep them out. And they kept a clean sheet. So, I mean, that's even a little bit wonky, but your diehard Real Madrid fans would have been rewarded at 2.4. Let's crack straight on. Valladolid, 2.6. Draw, 3.2. Granada, 3.3. Number one, what have you got for me?
Well, I'm choosing both teams to score in this game. Granada comes for a great game against Barcelona. I was a little bit sad because I'm a Barca fan, but hey, they are playing great this season. Valladolid, hey, at home they're really strong. And don't forget, they scored in Bernabeu a few weeks ago and they 1-1. So I'm expecting both teams to score, especially they come from games scoring.
Price?
2.05.
2.05. So we've just opened the show and said how dull it is and how much you love 0-0s. And there were so many teams who didn't score over the weekend. And straight off the bat, you've gone both teams to score.
I'm expecting 1-1 maybe.
So if it is 1-1, are you going to be like just okay because you've got it right, but you're begging for like 0-0s?
Maybe.
You're...
I will think about it. I'm happy if they score goals in this game.
Okay, well, Martin, we move on. Leganes, 2.95, draw 3.05, and Bilbao, 2.85. Bilbao sitting at the top.
Yeah, and Leganes sitting right at rock bottom of the table. Don't think anyone could have predicted this at the start of the season, but the Basque Country teams are on fire at the moment. Bilbao started their season with a victory over Barcelona, and they haven't really looked back since then. They've been excellent. Leganes, obviously, we know they've been terrible, although they did end a 4-game losing streak with a very creditable 1-1 draw against Valencia at the Mestalla at the weekend, which I don't think anyone was expecting, which again alludes to this inconsistency that I was talking about earlier. But I still think Athletic Bilbao should be able to get a result there. It does look tempting just to go for a straight Athletic Bilbao win. You can get odds of 2.8, 2.85 on that. But I think I'm just going to go for Athletic Bilbao draw no bet, odds of 1.93. They have drawn their last 2 away games in La Liga, and they drew away at Roma as well. So just to cover myself, I'm going to go for that.
Yeah, I mean, I look at that game, and Leganes must have killed nearly every single coupon that I would have seen. Valencia at home looked an absolute knocker. But then we say, and we say it regularly on this show, be careful when the price looks too good. I mean, they're around 1.75, 1.78, and they got backed into like 1.61, 1.62. I like both teams to score no in that Leganes Bilbao game, and that obviously brings in your 1-0 Bilbao or even a 0-0. So both teams to score no. We're going to move on. Martin.
I was just going to say, I guess Valencia expended a lot of energy at Stamford Bridge, beating Chelsea in midweek. That's why it's always so difficult to bet on domestic football after there's been European football in the midweek.
Yeah, I mean, we go from international break when they go and play them 2 games in 4 or 5 days. Then we've got Champions League. It's just hard to get that run. But We're here to try and sieve through. Iba 3.5, draw 3.5, and Savisha 2.3. Number one, it's a away win, isn't it?
Yes, it is to me. They maybe have lost against Real Madrid, but Real Madrid comes from a terrible games in Champions League. So they went with everything all in. They were an injured animal, and Real Madrid, when you have it against the wall, they are the most dangerous team probably in the world. Eibar doesn't know victory this season, so I'm expecting to Sevilla to recover and have a comeback this midweek.
Okay, yeah, we also say it's bounce back ability when you come back from either a defeat or a poor performance and then hopefully get a win. So
the price I have is 2.31.
Yeah, 2.31. That sounds good to me. Okay, we're going to move on straight away, Martin. Mallorca 7, draw 3.75, and Atletico Madrid 1.75. Are you hoping that Madrid get back onto winning ways?
I am hoping the Madrid get back onto winning ways. I'm hoping they're going to display a bit of bounce back ability at the weekend. I think it was Arsene Wenger that coined that term. Anyway, yeah. It's always a bit risky betting on away at Mallorca because it's not an easy place to visit. But Atletico Madrid's results recently have been poor. They really need to get back to winning ways. They've got a good enough forward line to take apart what is a very weak Mallorca defence. They didn't coat themselves in glory last time out, got thrashed away at Getafe. Yeah, I'm going to go for Atletico Madrid to win. Minus 0.75 Asian handicap, 1.85.
1.85 minus 0.75.
7.5, yeah. So half win if they win 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, win to nil as well is obviously an unders unless they go goal crazy. Here's the one that jumped out on me after I've watched Espanyol 3 times. Celta Vigo 1.87, the draw 3.75, Espanyol 4.5. Espanyol cruise through Europa League qualifying stages, scoring 4, home and away 6. Since then, they've looked absolutely dreadful. Now they go to a Celta Vigo side who are desperado for a win as well. Number one.
Well, I don't know what is happening in Barcelona. I don't know if it's the water, the food, the air, but they are sucking this season in Cornellà, also in Espanyol. But for this team, I'm choosing both teams to score at 1.95. In the last 5 games, both teams have scored. And the last 4 games, Espanyol hasn't been able to have a clean sheet. So I'm expecting probably the Celta Vigo to win, but my pick is both teams to score at 1.95.
No sign of them unders or nil-nils from number one today. You've definitely woke up with the cheers, you.
Give me some time.
I will do. And we'll do another show on Friday for the weekends, and I bet it's nil-nils and under 1.5s all the way. Okay, Martin, Real Sociedad 1.75, draw 4, Alaves 6. Is this a bit of a tricky match?
It could be a tricky match, yeah, but I do like Real Sociedad to win it. They're 4th in the table after beating Espanyol 3-1 at the weekend. That's despite only playing once at home all season. Bizarre fixture quirk. They've been on the road 4 times. But in their one home game, they did beat Atletico Madrid 2-0. Won their last 2 games. Should be full of confidence. They're a good team at the moment. Alaves started the season really strong. They've since lost their last 2 games, and they're actually favourites to be relegated from La Liga this season now. So at home, fancy Real Sociedad to get the job done. Odds are drifting out a bit, 1.71 on a straight Real Sociedad win. Bit more value, Real Sociedad and under 4.5 goals at 1.88.
Yeah, I don't fancy they're going to be scoring 5 goals or the crowd are going to be seeing 5 goals. Number one, can you match that?
I'm choosing the under 2.5 goals at 1.71. In the last 4 games between each other, they have been under 2.5. And like you say, Alaves is having another game in a row, and Real Sociedad really strong at home. They are a surprising team, especially with this other guy. Odegaard is playing great. They're playing good. The Bilbao teams, like you say earlier, Martin, they are fantastic this season. I'm expecting Real Sociedad to win, but my pick is under 2.5 goals.
It wasn't long, only 3 or 4 games before we get the unders. He's looking for that 0-0. Or maybe 1-0 because obviously
1-0
we want, 1-0 we're happy with as well, Real Sociedad.
We're happy 1-0.
Yeah, we're happy with that. Martin, can you give me your best bet, if there is one, with any confidence?
I'm really not feeling very good about La Liga this midweek, Flash. I'm going to keep my stakes modest. Of the lot, I'll go with, it's got to be Bilbao, hasn't it? Top of the table, flying high. They've got to go and get a result against Leganes. So draw no bet, Bilbao.
Okay, yourself, number one?
Midweek is tough sometimes, but this time I'm going to stay away from the bankers and just let's wait, hope and see.
Well, I really like Real Sociedad and under 4.5 at 1.88. And I like Celta Vigo at 1.87. And not because of Celta Vigo's strength, but because of Espanyol's weakness. And if you are brave, you can go Celta Vigo to win and both teams to score. And that will be any price you like. It'd be way too big for you to even look at. You don't even go that far down the page, do you?
I don't even see that. It's like, oof, too risky. It scares me.
1 goal in a game scares number one. Okay, boys, until next time. We'll see you again on Friday. Obviously, I'll see you before then, Martin. Premier League punters on Thursday. But number one,
looking forward to it.
May all your games be winners.
Yes, and yours too, Martin. Let's hope so. And we'll see each other on Friday.
Thanks, Juan.
Okay,
I look forward to it.
Yeah, nice one, boys. You take care. Okay, now we're going to move on to Serie A best bets. There's no Chef Michael today, so it's just going to be me and Alex. Alex, how are you, mate?
Hi, Flash. Happy to see you guys. Really happy to see number one. He's delivering week in and week out. I really love what he's doing for La Liga. I hoped that if today we don't have Chef Michael, he will just stay with us for the Serie A matches. But it seems that you took him out.
Well, the thing is with Chef Michael, I know that he obviously has them late nights, and I know that he's got a busy schedule. He doesn't often miss, does he? So I'm looking forward to these games. Are they like role reversal? We're not seeing many goals in La Liga, and yet in Italy we're seeing teams go for it a little bit more.
Yeah, we talked about the change in the Italian Serie A. We said that there is no Catenaccio anymore, that it's you see new players from different parts of the world, world-class players in all the teams right now. You cannot play Catenaccio with Ronaldo if you are Juventus. You cannot play Catenaccio if you have Mertens and Insigne if you are Napoli, or if you are Atalanta with Duvan Zapata and Luis Muriel, and so on. They are starting to attack more and to defend less. You know, they are going for that. Let's score more than our opponent. You know, and at the end of the day, we win the 3 points. I really love. I went 5-0 last weekend, and I hope that this midweek will deliver once again for us.
Okay, well, let's start off with AS Roma 2.2, draw 3.8, Atalanta 3.2. Two half decent sides, these.
Yeah, two great attacking sides. Roma, great match against Bologna. I think that they played around 30 minutes in 10 men, and even so, they with Edin Dzeko on fire, they scored in the last second of the game to bring us a nice win for our viewers. Last week we had the Alex Classic there, and they delivered once again. Edin Dzeko, by the way, he scored in his last 6 matches across all competitions, also for his squad, for his club, but also for his national team. He's on fire, and I really think that at even money right now, he can bring some good value bet for a midweek match to be any time scorer. But Atalanta are a team that deliver each week if we are talking about goals. You know, you see over 2.5 goals in most of their games, and in 99% of their games they are also scoring. It was unlucky for them not to score against Dinamo Zagreb last week in the Champions League. For their first match ever in their history in Champions League, you could see that something was wrong, you know. But After that, they came back to Serie A and they played Fiorentina. And as we predicted, Fiorentina draw double chance there, 2-2. And also Alex Classic, 2-2, delivered for us. I was a little bit scared at the end with that Fiorentina draw double chance because Fiorentina went 2 goals up. And after that, Atalanta in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes of the game, they decided to push the sixth gear, you know, and they scored 2 goals, and one of the goals, the third goal, was ruled for offside. So they could turn that into a 3-2, but luckily for us, the VAR was with us, not against us this time. So yeah, classic match between AS Roma and Atalanta. Alex Classic for there all the way. The odds are not so attractive, 1.66, but still represent good value.
Okay, well, you just mentioned Fiorentina. We'll go there next. Fiorentina 1.75, draw 4.2, Sampdoria 5. I quite like this side at home.
Yeah, they listen. I think that they started this domestic league. Okay, they have just 2 points after 4 matches. But if we see a little how they lost the first match and the second match against Napoli and Genoa. Genoa was away. Napoli was at home for 3 goal fest in both of them. But after that, again, unlucky not to beat Juventus with a brilliant performance from Frank Ribery, who adapted very, very good for Fiorentina there. And after that, they went and they failed to maintain that 2-goal lead against Atalanta, with Atalanta scoring in the last second of the match the equalizer. So they are a little bit unlucky, if you ask me. They are a good side, and I think that this is the perfect spot for them to return to winning ways against the Sampdoria side who are struggling. Fabio Quagliarella is a shadow of the player that he was last term. Last term, he won the Golden Boot in Serie A. This term, I think that he just scored in one game in the 4-1 defeat against the Sassuolo 3 rounds ago. Yeah, I think that is a perfect spot for Fiorentina at 1.75 to win their first match of the season at home against Sampdoria.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Here's a game that's wide open for you. Genoa 2.7, draw 3.2, and Bologna 2.75. Can't split it. Are we looking at a draw?
Yeah, but let's hope that we'll see a draw with goals, 2-2 there, because I'm going with the Alex Classic there. Both great attacking sides, both struggling in their defense. A little bit better for Bologna this season. So if it is to go for the winners market, and if you don't like the goals market, you can take also Bologna draw double chance in an accumulator bet at 1.57, or also Bologna with a draw no bet at 2.16. So in case of the draw, we take our money back. But I expect again an open match full of opportunities from both sides. Alex Classic against just screams goals for me this match at 1.9.
Yeah, seems good value for 2 sides that don't defend and score goals home and away. Okay, here's one. It's a home win, and it's going to be finding the value. Napoli 1.22, draw 7.7, Cagliari 16.25. This Cagliari side, even though when they go down, they're putting some spirited performances.
Absolutely. This is why I'm taking this bet, because they are fighting. They are fighters. I love their display. I love that they are going forward. Doesn't matter if they are 2-0, 3-0 down. They are going to score. You know, maybe something happens and they will come back. I love this kind of teams that they will never get, okay, it's 3-0. Let's not get injured. Let's go into the next match. No. They are like a Premier League side, if I can say that. They will go in front every time they feel it, you know. And on the other side, Napoli cannot stop scoring, you know. They are a goal machine at this term. 13 goals scored in 4 matches in Serie A. I think that they look a lot better than what they looked last season. And with Juventus struggling for performance right now in their domestic league, I might see a fight in going Napoli and Juventus all the way, because it's also Inter there. Inter have maximum points after 4 matches. But I don't see Inter. I see Inter struggling in the middle of the season, But Napoli have a good bench. They have an excellent manager there, Carlo Ancelotti, a very experienced coach with a lot of potential for his teams. I love the Napoli's attacking power, but they also struggle in their defense. Imagine that they conceded eight goals in 4 matches. You don't see this at the top side who wants to win a domestic league to concede so many matches. This is why Cagliari, I think, and you cannot be sure about one bet, but I think that Cagliari can score in this match away at Napoli. This is why I'm going Napoli to win and both teams to score at 2.45.
And if I was to ask you to give me your strongest of them 4 bets today, what would it be?
I think I'm going with Genoa versus Bologna at the Alex Classic at 1.9 for better value. And my second best is Roma versus Atalanta, again the Alex Classic at 1.66. But because we are going with the value, I'm going with that 1.9 in Genoa versus Bologna.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, keep up the great work, Alex. And obviously, we're going to do Serie A, Bundesliga. No, we're not going to do Bundesliga. I think we're going to do Bundesliga on Wednesday. Serie A and La Liga, we're going to do again on Friday, getting ready for the weekend. Let these games get out of the way. But until then, mate, you take care.
Thank you, and best of luck with the rest of the show, and enjoy the tennis, guys.
I will do. I look forward to the tennis, guys. I'll see you soon, Alex.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, that's Alex Classic Tips giving us a rundown in Serie A. We're off to China now. Both the men and the women are going to be in action. We're going to start off with the women. We're going to go to Wuhan, and we're going to have Snize and James with us. We wouldn't have anybody else when we're talking tennis. So, James, Snize, how are we, lads?
All right, not too bad, Flash. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Snize, you well?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
So how long's Bianca going to be?
on.
How long's Bianca going to be out for? Was she just having a rest or what?
Well, until she deems
Do you want to go and
herself
get her from the
fit
back
to
room,
continue.
Size? Just ask her what she's thinking.
Don't start us off. It's a family show, James. A family show. So listen, let's kick straight off. We're going to go with outrights in Wuhan. We've got Belinda Bencic outright at 17. Although, James, you're telling me you can get 21.
Yeah, so currently the market's just gone back up. The guess based on prices before was 17. She was 21 yesterday before the markets closed. They've reopened now and they're at 20 with Unibet. 17 still fine, but Bencic was my article tip for this week. And she was 21 when I wrote the article originally.
Okay, Snize, why did you go for Bencic as well?
Well, so we are indeed in China. The Asian swing is now starting for real. And this Wuhan tournament is quite a large one, about $3 million in prize money. A lot of the big names are in attendance. And I went with Bencic because she has a very good path to the final and to the title here. She's been drawn in the first quarter, which contains Ashley Barty and Sofia Kenin as the big seeds. Barty hasn't been great for quite some time now and is vulnerable. Sofia Kenin is coming off a title in was it Guangzhou or Seoul?
Was it not
Guangzhou?
One of the tournaments last week anyway.
Yeah.
So I doubt she'll be able to go deep with back-to-back tournaments. And looking at the rest of the quarter, the pathway looks wide open. Bencic is known as a giant killer, played very well at the US Open, hasn't played since, so she should be fit and ready to go. Only fell in a very close match to eventual champion Andreescu. So yeah, I really like her in that top section of the draw. Looking likely like she'd probably face Halep or maybe Sabalenka in the semifinals. Not too worried there. So she looks like she has a great path.
James, Snize mentions Barty. Do you think she tries to hit the ball too hard and should just maybe mix her game up a little bit?
Possibly. So, I mean, Barty she obviously was the model of consistency until she had issues with injury that I think have kind of carried over here. I'm not sure exactly what I would say with her. I think when she's on song, I wouldn't want to do a lot with her game. And I think right now it's more of a fitness issue than anything else. And often these fitness issues go on a lot longer than anyone could guess. And they often just get worse. So it'd be interesting to see how she plays this week. As Snize says, she really hasn't been her best recently. So we'll see how she plays.
Snize, another recent winner you're putting up on the outrights, Pliskova. She beat, obviously, Petra Martic in the final when we was all on at 12 and 14s. Pliskova at 9. Seems quite a generous price.
Yeah, I mean, Karolina Pliskova is just... These are the kind of tournaments that you want to be going to the Pliskova, to the elder, or not the elder, the bigger, the larger Pliskova, I should say, because they are obviously sisters. Her younger, or her twin sister is not good. But anyways, despite her slam struggles, Pliskova really excels at the Premier level. She won recently in the last tournament, and she's won 8 Premier titles now. And she's been drawn in the bottom quarter. And we have Petra Kvitova there as the big looming threat, but she hasn't played. Obviously, since that forearm injury that has her sidelined for a little bit. She's going to face Amanda Anisimova in the immediate future, playing her first tournament since her father tragically passed away. And yeah, just in her section, there are a lot of power hitters, but inconsistent ones, like Sloane Stevens is also one. And Pliskova is just so consistent on serve and just so powerful that you're going to have to redline your game against her. And many of these players in her medium section here can't do that. And obviously, she's one of the best and most consistent players on tour. So yeah, just looking at the draw, the only other threat I could see would be Elina Svitolina, but she's had a knee issue and actually withdrew from the last tournament. So it'll be interesting to see how she goes here. So the pathway looks pretty nice for Pliskova to at least reach the finals. So yeah, comfortable with betting her outright.
James, obviously we're still hard court season. The FUD on the knees and the back, it's going to take its toll. What type of player normally wins this type of tournament?
Yeah, so one of the things I commented on in the article, which I kind of realized as I was writing it, the outright article for Wuhan, is that actually there's tons of players who have just retired or have just withdrawn. Keys withdrew from Wuhan last night. So I definitely feel like there are two main kinds of players who are likely to do well. The first ones are the very economical players. I mean, the classic of this is someone like Federer, where you basically have a player who is able to win a lot of matches without seemingly expending anywhere near as much energy as a lot of other players would. And then the other kind of player is someone who's a bit fresher. Maybe they've not had the form most of this year, but they've got latent capabilities. So someone like Karen Khachanov is a good example on the men's side of someone who definitely should be thinking right now, look, if I can find a bit of form, I'm going to be able to be a lot fresher than someone like, say, Medvedev, who's had such a phenomenal run that he will be getting worn down. So yeah, I'd be looking at one of those two kinds of players and generally looking for them to start doing something. For example, Stevens, she won her first match this week. She's not someone who I would, want to be opposing when she's in form, but she's been awful. So you might be looking at players like this and watching how they're playing, their immediate form, taking a chance on them if they are starting to play better.
Couldn't agree more, and I've wrote down here, Snize, that I'd want a player who's light on their feet, who just basically doesn't go FUD right the way through their body. Does Simona Halep, does she come into that category?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Simona Halep is one of the fittest players on tour, an incredible counterpuncher. She enjoys the conditions here. She made a semifinal here in 2016. She's been upset now a couple of times and does come in here off that ankle injury. But if she is fit, she has a great chance. She has a really soft draw and really only Sabalenka, the main threat for her to storm to the final, because Kiki Bertens has split with her coach Sluiter, who's still at home, has been woeful, and those are really the big obstacles there. So I think that Halep will be able to put together a strong run here, make at least the semifinals, and then hopefully Bencic eliminates her.
So Simona Halep to get to the semi-final at 2.25. That's one bet. What about Sloane Stephens just on a single bet against Huang Yafan?
Yeah, this is one of the bets that I have written about for an article that will be up either tonight or tomorrow on the Oddsmarket site. And I've actually been on going against Stephens a lot this season and a lot recently, because as James mentioned earlier, she's been woeful. She's been super inconsistent. She is 22 and 17 on the year, but really all of her good work came on clay, which isn't really what you'd expect from Stephens, who's a hard court player primarily. The 2017 US Open champion went 1-4 during the North American hard court swing, which really should ring the alarm bells, because that's a part of the season where she usually does her best. Won a title there last year, won a title in 2017, but was woeful. But she's been reunited with former coach Kamau Murray pre-US Open, and they've had a few weeks now to work together. He was the one who led her to the title in 2017. And she was able to finally break her losing streak now. She got over a player that she's lost 2 straight matches against in Shuai Zhang in her last round in straight sets, which really should give her a confidence boost. She has nothing to lose here, a lot of points to gain, and just try to set the season right, which hasn't been a good one. Yafang Wan, on the other hand, she hasn't really done much since spring, if I'm being honest. She won her maiden title in Acapulco, but since then she's been eliminated in her first match in 10 of the 13 subsequent tournaments. She hasn't really been in form until Seoul last week. Then struggled a bit off the quick turnaround from Seoul. Lost the first set against Lauren Days, but came back. But I just think that this is a huge opportunity for Stephens to finally get over the hump and get some wins together. Yafan just lacks the power or the veteran wit that you need to take one of the best defenders onto her out of her game. As much was shown to us, they faced in Wimbledon, and the Sloane Stephens demolished her 6-love, 6-2. Obviously, playing at home and on hard court is going to favor the Chinese player a bit more, but I still think this is Stephens' match to lose.
Okay, that's Wuhan sorted out. Let's have a little look at ATP Chengdu. We're going to go with the outrights. James, do you have any outrights?
Yeah, so Evans was the outright for this tournament, which was put up at 23 in the article. The big concern for me with Evans basically came about the conditions. I wasn't completely convinced that the humidity would be a huge issue for Evans, but I wasn't sure. And from what I've seen in this first round, where he almost lost, he was a breakdown in the final set, I am now a lot more concerned, I think, about the conditions for Evans. So Evans is going to be on my record at 23. If you wanted to follow, as I say, my big concern with the conditions was very quickly made apparent. So perhaps I would skip that one now that we've been given that bit of evidence. But yeah, as I say, that is the article tip. There are lots of good reasons to have backed Evans, the primary ones basically being about his form on the hard courts and against the top seed this week, Isner, and the high seed in his quarter, Dimitrov. But I'm a lot less sure of it than I was at the start of the week.
Okay, well, I'm going to get Rafa to call you back, James, just because you're a bit fuzzier than you are normally. But until then, Snize, let's have a little look at your outrights for Chengdu. We're going to go with Fritz outright at 19. Why is your reasoning?
So just a little bit about Chengdu, which is key to note. This is a tournament that is very, very quick. Very fast, one of the quickest on tour. It's played at almost 500 meters of altitude and on a very quick surface, which means that this inherently is a tournament that favors the large hitters and the big servers, of which Fritz is one. It actually has a lot of tie breaks. 54% of the matches last year featured at least a tie break. So definitely one to look out for the big hitters. Fritz is, I think, the future of American tennis. He's the one that has, the standard American recipe. He has the big thundering serve, the big forehand, but he also moves well and has a serviceable backhand, which many of his countrymen lack. He's looked great recently, played a lot of good tennis. He's obviously off Labour Cup duty, played well there as well. But the Labour Cup bound do get a few days extra off, so I don't think that will be a concern. So I think Fritz is one of the players that's able to go well here. He has a pretty nice draw as well. He's been drawn in the bottom section. He's going to face Bublik, and then he's going to face possibly Dimitrov or Odja Aliassim, who Odja Aliassim hasn't looked good for a long time. I think his body's breaking down. Dimitrov obviously had a great US Open run, but he is way too underpriced or overpriced in this section. So I think Fritz the value there.
Especially, I mean, Bublik, we had a close look at him last week, and he had massive serving problems. I think it was in double digits for double faults, which obviously cost him in the end. What about Chung at 26? And then you can go on to Albo at 51, but Chung at 26.
Yeah, so this is also another good price available at Unibet. Hyun Sung, I think many people have just forgotten just how good Sung is when he is on form. He's a former world number 19 as late as last year. But it's just that people have forgotten that because he hasn't played for a long time. He's been out of competition because of injuries, primarily a back injury that has kept him sidelined for 5 months of this season. But Sung, many make Djokovic comparisons to him. He has a fantastic all-around game, incredibly difficult to hit through, incredibly athletic mix, very few unforced errors. He made the Australian Open semi-final last year. Only took until a retirement against Roger Federer to get him out of there. So a very, very good player, and he's been in good form. He came back here at Chengdu and won the Challenger event in his comeback tourney, and then looked good at the US Open as well, making the third round. He's also been drawn in this lower part of the draw, so he and Fritz may be on collision course at semifinal stage. But I just really like his pathway here. We have a lot of people that are worth opposing in this section, with Odja Aliassim being the big seed, whom I really don't trust. So I think that Sung, if it can make a huge run here.
Okay, and the last the last one of the outrights is Albo. Before we go over to James. 51, massive outsider.
Yeah, massive outsider here. Obviously a very big price, but I think it's value here. Obviously the big seed in his section, he's been drawn in the second quarter. Kyle Edmund lost in straight sets to Christian Garin, and he's already out of the tournament. The Brits keep disappointing. So anyways, he's going to face Pablo Carreño Busta.
They don't disappoint if you oppose them, do they?
No, that's true. So Benoit Paire, he said he'll maybe take this Chengdu off. He struggled with a virus a bit last week, played indoors, went deep in Metz, and it's unsure whether he'll even compete here, or if he competes, what kind of shape he will be in. This is normally not a time of the season that Paire does well anyway, so he's worth opposing. Looking at the immediate future, he's going to face Pablo Carreño Busta in the first round, and I think people are overrating Carreño Busta. Obviously, a former top 10 player, and he has made strides, but he's not that good yet. He's not at the top 10 level, but he's being priced like he is. Alba, on the other hand, usually does extremely well in this part of the world. He's won several titles on the challenger level here in China, and has great memories from here. And so I think that the Moldovan is a bit underrated. He's been able to transcend his earlier limits this season, obviously going well at winning Delray Beach earlier in the year, and just being great on surfaces he normally hasn't been. A bit of a late bloomer. John Isner is a seed we have to oppose here. Hasn't struggled with fitness, obviously off Labour Cup duty, and he's declining a bit. So yeah, I think that just the opportunities in the draw open up well here for a long shot, and obviously this being just a small tournament with the larger seeds, maybe having your eyes on the bigger prices later on in the swing, you take a few shots here.
Okay, James, you found us some value with a bit of a single one. Lai and Gerasimov. How'd you break this one down?
Yeah, sorry. So just quickly to go back to Snize's point, Isner hasn't. I don't think he's even made more than a semi-final in China since 2010. So there's a lot of reasons to oppose the top of the field. I'm not sure that I'm as happy with my selection on Evans, but I like all of Snize's selections, and certainly opposing someone in. I mean, Dimitrov's priced at 7. I think Shapovalov's priced at 7. And Isner's priced at about 6.5. They're not prices that I would be happy taking. Yeah, and I would be wanting to oppose that. Okay, so in terms of this match, so Gerasimov against Lee. So the first thing about this match is the conditions. Chengdu has, I think, had either the most or second most tie breaks of any match, of any event, on tour so far, which is surprising on the one hand in that it's kind of a medium-paced, high humidity hard court. So that's not usually going to be ideal circumstances for tie breaks, but it's also at 500 meters of altitude. And for whatever reason, it has had a lot of tie breaks. So the first bet is the first set tie break at 5.4. Gerasimov is relatively serve orientated as a player. He played well last week indoors, tends to do most of his best work indoors, and tends to be very consistent. But his game is based around power. It's based around having a good first strike. So he's not as good on the return. Lee, unusual for an Asian player in the sense that he isn't really return orientated at all. He's got an excellent return game, very effective when he's on song. But really, he is also quite a serve orientated player, quite a big hitter, likes to get the first strike in, and often will keep it close with better players, at least for a set or two. So I think either, as I say, first set at 5.4, tie-breaking match I think was 2.8. That also seems worth it. And then 3 sets at 2.95. The rationale behind that basically being half statistical. If you look at their respective matches, Lee especially has a very good record of taking people the distance. But he also has an excellent record of beating players where he shouldn't. And you can actually get him, I think, at 3.9 now with Bet Hard. It's drifted out from 3.4, which I think is probably closer to being right in this match. Gerasimov very consistent, so I'm not sure I'd want to be opposing him at 3.4, but if you can get 3.9, that's definitely worth a bet as well.
What about a little bit of Gerasimov to win 2-1?
Yeah, so it's very much what I considered. I have an issue with opposing good underdogs. I think that's where most of the value comes from on the tour. So given that Lee is someone I could totally see winning this match, and Gerasimov is coming off an indoor hard, a good week on the indoor hard, I'm not sure I want to push my luck. But yes, I would expect 2-1 to Gerasimov to be also a good bet.
Okay, let's move on to you, Snize, since you've been sitting there very quietly for at least 30 seconds. We're going to go with Chung minus 2.5 games versus Zhao Souza at 1.76. Rationale?
Yeah, happy to be back here. I'm not really that silent of a type, as you may have noticed, like talking. So yeah, we'll get right into it.
Yeah, you listen, the yin and yang between the pair of you is absolutely brilliant. It's like good cop, bad cop.
Indeed. So yeah, I've already spoken a bit about how good Chung is when he's back on form, and I feel that this tournament that he can go well in. Joao Sousa is a player that in the last stage of his career primarily was a clay court grinder. He's been able to transcend that and perform well on other surfaces, notably made a round of 16 at Wimbledon, and he also made Gstaad semifinal on clay. But apart from that, hasn't really been a great season for him, and especially on hard court. He's only gone 2-5 since the Australian Open, and he's on an 0-3 losing streak on the hard courts during the North American hard court swing. He's also coming from St. Petersburg indoors in Russia, and he did play really well, reached the semifinals, but this is a very, very tough changeover here now. He's played a late night match European time, which would already be into the next day on the 22nd China time, with Chorich 3-setter lost there. Now he's going to have to take a flight. I assume he flew yesterday, the 22nd. May not have been able to get a direct flight even. So he'd arrive probably late today, and he's not going to be accustomed to the conditions at all, and he's just going to transcend from playing indoors, high bouncing, slower indoor surface to blazing fast, lower bouncing hard court. And just the matchup itself, we saw this matchup last year actually, high bouncing slow courts, and just Sosa just does not have the weapons to hit through the defenses of Shang. Shang won quite easily, winning 6-3, 6-4 in that meeting last year. And I think that Shang will continue to exploit this head-to-head matchup. I think that he has a great chance to go deep in this tournament. The conditions suit him. Sosa's on a tough labor here. And I've gone with him to win there, -2.5 games.
Yeah, I mean, that looks decent. That 1.76. Okay, just wrap it up then. We got Radu Alba on the money line against Carino Busta at 2.65. That seems a massive price.
Yeah, definitely. So this is also a match I touched upon a bit with my outright selection and my long shot on Alba. And I just think that Carino Busta is just being evaluated like he's still a top 10 player, which he's simply isn't. Alba is a player that's been around to top 40 level. He's played extremely well, performed consistently as an underdog, pushing the best players. They are, I would say, really just similarly ranked in, when it comes to the level of the performances, and the matchup as well. No player will be able to blow the other off the court. This will be a grindy matchup. Both players are very consistent and very good movers. So it's going to be an all-out war there. And whoever is the most consistent on the day, whoever is the most confident on the day will be able to prevail. I think this should be closer to a pick-em price and definitely huge value on Alba to win outright.
Okay, well, I mean, you boys are going to keep flicking out your articles. Go over to oddsmarket.com if you want to keep in touch with the lads who are absolutely on sizzle mode. We're going to good luck to the women in Wuhan. Good luck to the men in Chengdu. We will be following the progress. We will be doing other shows. But lads, just keep up the good work and keep them articles flying.
Cheers, Flash.
Well done,
Cheers,
man.
James.
Cheers.
Cheers, Snize. You take care, lads. That's the boys going through the tennis over in China. We've done Serie A and we've done La Liga for their midweek. We've got snooker coming up this week, Premier League punters. Bundesliga will be on its own on Wednesday. And we've got lower leagues Thursday. Until then, see you soon.